If you love to write, there is an opportunity for you to join other writers on a cruise called Writers at Sea, which takes place between the 4th and 12th of November this year. T.M. Clark and Alison Claire are heading this cruise. You don't need to be an experienced writer in order to take part in this cruise. It includes workshops, writing sessions, feedback and mentoring. It's not all work, there's also time to relax. You can watch a show, play a game of trivia, enjoy the pool, or go on a onshore adventure. The cruise is to New Caledonia. Alison Claire is known for giving workshops for Writers Victoria and Queensland Writers Centre. She's published by HarperCollins in Australia and Kensington Books for the rest of the world, and she's been translated into German. T.M. Clark works at the Queensland Writers Centre. She runs the CYA conference, which has been going for 14 years. She's published by HarperCollins, Wombat Books and Macmillan Education. She is an editor as well as a writer. If you want to take part in this cruise, you can go to writersatsea.com.au. Obviously there'll be a limited number of spots, so if you want this opportunity, I suggest you seize it now before your opportunity is gone. Yesterday I neglected to mention that Alison Claire is also a fan of Some Like It Hot, as well as the other movies that she mentioned. One guy thought there must have been a feminist conspiracy because her graphic designer and her editor and her publisher are all women, but she said it just so happens that there's lots of women that work in the publishing industry. It's not easy being a writer. It's not easy dealing with pressure. All of us have to deal with pressure or stressful situations to some degree. All of us have times where life exhausts us. I'm not sure if everybody wrestles with paranoia, but it's something that I wrestle with. Sometimes I think people hate me when what they're saying has got nothing to do with me. Sometimes people are just having a bad hair day, and we have to bear the brunt of it. It's unprofessional to take out the problems that you have with somebody else on somebody else, but a lot of us do it. God helps us find peace in the middle of life's storms. The little kid I met in church was wondering why I was wearing a necklace. I guess he'd never seen a guy wearing a necklace before. Or perhaps he's just naturally curious and he likes to ask everybody why they choose to wear whatever they choose to wear. I was encouraged that one of the pool workers liked my writing advice. I hope she manages to take the time to finish that novel she started. What I didn't mention yesterday about Alison Claire in my notes was that not only did she go to the house of the author of Gone with the Wind, she stood in the exact spot where the book was written. God is my refuge and strength, and ever-present help in times of trouble. Therefore I will not fear, though the earth be removed, and all the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. I've got no reason to fear, because God is here with me. He helps me to be sincere. He is the one who engineered me. He's always there for me. He loves me and he cares for me. I just want to share the difference that he made in my life with the whole world. I'm so glad I've got this opportunity to share what's on my mind, to share all the things that he's done in my life. I know I may not have this opportunity forever, so I've got to make the most of the time I have on this planet before my time disappears completely. It's possible to give people too much of a good thing. It's possible for people to become sick of you if you are constantly giving of yourself to them and talking to them and sharing your heart with them. Everybody will always see what you do as either trash or treasure. Just because somebody sees it as trash doesn't mean it isn't treasure. We're all trash to someone and we're all treasure to somebody else. And regardless of whether you get told by other humans that you're treasured, you are treasured to God. You are precious in His sight. He delights in you. He inhabits the praises of His people. You don't need to worry about what the future holds, because He's holding on to the future. He's leading you and guiding you and helping you. When you feel exhausted, He gives you strength and energy. When you're at the end of your tether, all of us have a breaking point. For all of us, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back. For Mama Cass, it was a grape. I'm not saying don't eat grapes. She was known for eating all her life. She was one of the lead singers in the Mamas and the Papas. Her daughter Bijay Phillips was in a group with the children of Brian Wilson, in a group called Wilson Phillips. Some say he went out of the frying pan into the fire because he had a doctor who was controlling all his movements. His doctor was controlling his relationships, controlling where he went, controlling what he said. He asked him for his help because he tried to get rid of him and he ended up overdosing on drugs. Nobody should try to control somebody else's relationships. They say the people that are looking after Brian Wilson now are just as controlling of him as the doctor who used to be looking after him, but I haven't got any proof of that. He was interviewed and he said, in response to the question of whether he liked performing, "I hate performing." And then somebody described by somebody else as one of his minders said that he loves performing, which obviously contradicts what he said. He constantly hears voices in his head. These are thought to be hallucinations. Just because somebody is on drugs or has a past history of drug use doesn't mean that God can't speak to them. It doesn't mean that they can't hear angels and demons. My friend Noah said that he could see demons hovering over people's backs when he decided to stop taking marijuana. Drugs can be a gateway to the spirit world. They can open your eyes to a spiritual dimension that you wouldn't otherwise be able to tap into. There's a war going on between the flesh and the spirit inside all of us. Who I am hates who I've been. I aim to be a different kind of person than the person I was before I knew Christ. The old me no longer defines the present me. I'm not the same person that I was yesterday. It's funny how they told Brian Wilson that his album Smile wouldn't sell, or his songs from Pet Sounds wouldn't sell, and it ended up being one of the most popular and critically acclaimed albums of all time. They criticized him for having sad songs instead of happy songs, and having lyrics that made no sense, lyrics that they accused of being about drugs, even though there was no actual drug references in the songs. They said the same thing about Bob Dylan with Mr. Tambourine Man. But it could just be a song about a guy who likes to play the tambourine, just as Puff the Magic Dragon could just be an innocent song about a dragon. It's possible for people to draw the wrong conclusions thinking they're drawing the right conclusions, but they're totally off base. In other words, they're off their nuts, they're off their heads. They criticized Brian Wilson for experimenting with different sounds. He used the sound of trains, the sound of spoons, the sound of people laughing. He used animal noises just as the Beatles did on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. He was inspired to think outside the box by the Beatles. He didn't want to fall behind them. He was jealous of their creative abilities, and that drove him to be more creative himself. His family members were annoyed with him because he was using session musicians for most of the songs on Pet Sounds instead of using their instruments, even though he used their voices. His dad, Murray, told him that his music wouldn't sell, and he was proved wrong, just like the people who said it wouldn't be possible for man to walk on the moon. His dad sold the rights to his songs, even though he didn't write them. Obviously, he deserved money for being their manager, but he didn't deserve the lion's share of their profits. Just like Michael Jackson in Gary, Indiana, Brian was pushed onto the stage from an early age. Both of them suffered abuse. Both of them were punished by their father. They were given the kind of spankings that leave a scar. Brian laughed about it in public, and he didn't know that he was being socially inappropriate because he was roaring at the top of his lungs like a lion, and his girlfriend was conscious of other people looking at them, and he wasn't bothered, so he didn't know why other people would be bothered by his behaviour. It's easy to let little things bother us that shouldn't bother us. It's easy to get confused by the world around us. Obviously, Brian was right to get the help of a doctor to get him off drugs, but he was misguided in choosing a guy who misdiagnosed him as paranoid schizophrenic when he was something else entirely different. We don't know what it's like to be famous when we're on the outside looking in. We don't know what it's like to have so much pressure placed on us to write the perfect song. It's funny that the Beach Boys wrote about surfing when they weren't surfers. His fellow band members said that surfers don't like their music, which is surprising to me because I would think that surfers would like to hear songs about surfing, but maybe they had it in for them because they were seen as posers or frauds. They sung about California girls, but they lived in Hawaii. Brian was a perfectionist. He would make his session musicians play the same notes over and over again for hours before he felt they got it right, even though perhaps what they were playing was right all along, because he had problems with his hearing. But we know that this onerous playing resulted in a brilliant album, so sometimes it's worth it to have somebody pushing you, even if you're annoyed with them, even if you want to kill them, even if you're sick to death of their face, because you know they get good results out of you. I've heard people say that they do cutting and pasting in the studio. It's rare that you hear somebody record a song and all the bits and pieces of the song are done in that one take. It's usually patched together afterwards. It's hard to rap fast, so a lot of people struggle with breath control. They struggle with getting the words out before they run out of breath. There are some rappers who are asthmatic, like Lil Weezy or Lil Wayne and Tricky, aka Adrian Fours, who for years I thought was Max and Quay because he was adopted into another family, but it took him years before he revealed his birth name to the world. I don't want to say his real name because an adopted name can be just as real for somebody as the name they were born with, if not more real, because they might have used that name all their lives so they don't know any different. Some of my friends in Africa are given new names when they become a Christian. There's a rapper called Emmanuel Jal, and he was given numerous names because he would go from place to place and be baptized by different Catholic bishops. So he didn't let on that he'd already been baptized, so he just added to his collection of names. He's famous for doing music to promote unity between Muslims and Christians. He's also famous for doing a lot to help people that are living as orphans, because he's a war child. He was a boy soldier. He saw people's flesh burning around him, and he was tempted to eat it, but thank God he didn't give in to temptation. He's got a book and an album to accompany it. He was raised by a British lady. At first he was full of hate and anger because of what he'd experienced. In Uganda and Congo and other places where there's children that are forced to be soldiers, often they're forced to kill their parents or they're threatened with being killed themselves. Often they're blindfolded before they do this, so they will kill their parents without even knowing what they're doing. When I read the book Beasts of No Nation, it inspired me to go to Uganda and see for myself what it was like over there, even though I didn't meet any war children. I had the opportunity to meet a child I sponsored through World Vision, but I chose not to take that opportunity. I went to the area where there's Lord's Resistance Army fighters called Gulu in the north of Uganda. There was a group called Invisible Children that did a lot to raise awareness of this problem. The leader of this organization went ape and took off his clothes, and he pretended to shoot a gun when he was in Africa. But just because he acted a little loopy, that doesn't discount what he achieved by raising awareness. Even if somebody acts like a bad egg, it doesn't mean they can't be used by God. Choppa Reed, on the other hand, should probably not have written a book about a kid who's bullied, who goes and kills people. Perhaps he was trying to raise awareness of the fact that bullying can be like a pressure cooker inside people. I guess you could say it's more of a book for adults than children. Sometimes the biggest problem with books is who people choose to market them to. You could say it was wrong that he made profits from prison, and you could also say it's wrong that the government makes money off prisoners' backs by making furniture. It's good that they're paying back to society, though. It's good that they're helping to make life better for others. Some say it's wrong to hold houses for prisoners while they're in prison. I see it's good to keep their houses because they might end up living on the streets and reoffending if they've got nowhere to stay. Some people will reoffend anyway, but you want to create as many deterrents as possible. That's why it's good there are people like Prison Fellowship and people like my friend George, who's working with the Northside Gang and helping them to see the error of their ways and to find a better way to live. It's hard when you're working within the confines of the state system. My pastor broke the rules by praying for children in school, initiating prayer when some say that you should just wait until you're asked. But the results speak for themselves. Children gave their hearts to the Lord and they were jumping for joy. It's beautiful when God moves. I love it how He works despite the roadblocks that are put in place in this world. There's no limit to what God can do. In Him we live and move and have our being. He shows us a brand new way of seeing the world. He is the Prince of Peace. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and His wonders never cease. Because of Him we have life and hope. We have an inexhaustible supply of help. Like gospel gangsters, my soul cries out, why can't the homies hear me? Why are people addicted to drugs instead of addicted to Jesus? Why are people addicted to pornography instead of addicted to Jesus? Why are people addicted to false religion instead of addicted to Jesus? Why are people addicted to relationships instead of addicted to Jesus? Why are people addicted to coffee instead of addicted to Jesus? Why do I struggle with being addicted to other things instead of being addicted to Jesus? Why do we have idols? Why do we put anything above God? Why do we choose to make gods out of our jobs? Why do we choose to make gods out of our parents? I was accused of doing this because I was taking pictures of my mum and I and posting them up online, but that wasn't the case. It's just that my mum chooses to hang out with me more than anybody else in the world does. That's just how it is. It doesn't mean that I bow down and worship her every evening. It's a common custom in India for people to kiss the feet of elders when they enter their house. I don't know if I could bring myself to do that, but if I was married to an Indian, I guess I would do that. I couldn't deal with what my friend had to deal with when she went to Pakistan and she wasn't allowed to kiss her husband. It's terrible when people have to hide their affection in public. It's terrible when people feel they have to make a secret of their love. Love should never be something that's seen as a secret. It should always be something that's celebrated. There is shame associated in some cultures with public displays of affection. Then people tend to do things in the dark because they don't want them to be seen in the light. And some people might jump into bed or explore each other's bodies in the dark because there's so much pressure on them to stay away from relationships. If people were more open about relationships, perhaps there would be less skullduggery and deviousness going on. I don't know why we ever turn our backs on God. I don't know why we ignore the obvious. Obviously, some people are raised in homes where they don't know God. I feel sorry for those people. They're missing out on so much rich treasure that could be in their possession. It's crazy to think of how people rob themselves of a beautiful experience of knowing God. They rob themselves of the joy that comes from knowing Him, the joy that can't be explained. Even if you're nailed to a cross, you can be full of joy because you know you're God's girl or God's boy. You know where you're going when you die. You possess a hope that never dies. You don't have to worry about what troubles you face, because God helps you to face your troubles. He helps you to overcome them. He got my homie off drugs. He helped him spend his money wisely, so he spent it on phones and computers instead of on drugs, so he has something that lasts. He's helping maintain his friendship with his ex-partner, who's the mother of his children. There's another guy in her life who abuses her. I hope God removes him from the picture without removing him from this planet. I hope he sees the light. I hope he finds the truth. I hope he doesn't spend his life dancing in the dark like I once did. I remember being at my friend's house, hearing their newborn baby screaming for his milk, or screaming to get his nappy changed, or screaming for a cuddle. I don't speak baby, so I don't know what was on his mind. Just like he was in desperate need of his mother's and father's attention, we are in desperate need of Jesus, and the Father up in heaven always hears our cry. It never falls on deaf ears. He's never sleeping through the night. He's never busy when we need to get his attention. He's always answering our questions and providing solutions to our problems. Sometimes we're just not listening right. He can speak to us through books and movies and music and paintings and dance movements and the beauty of flowers and trees and fruits and vegetables. He speaks to us through strangers and friends and even those who falsely perceive themselves as our enemies. He teaches us patience. He teaches us to respond in love. He teaches us to choose to turn the other cheek, to be humble and meek, to have self-control instead of just saying yes to every impulse that we get. He teaches us to be revulsed by the things he's revulsed by, and infused by the things he's infused by. He brings us out of confusion and replaces it with clarity. He helps us to see the similarities between us and other human beings instead of focusing on the differences which divide us and tear us apart at the seams. He helps us to see that somebody may have different political affiliations and still be used by God. They still may be reached by God. They still may be used by God. Obama was right when he talked about people being bipartisan, even though he didn't live what he believed. If indeed he was the one who wrote his biography, but that's a contentious issue I won't even get into. Although there's dispute over whether he had Indonesian or Kenyan origins or Hawaiian origins. God only knows where he's from, but what's more important isn't where he's from, but where he's going when he dies. He claims to be a Christian. I hope that is the truth. Even though he chose to legalize homosexual marriage and Turn the morality of America backwards, causing it to be regressive instead of progressive. Why is regression disguised as progression? Why does the succession of an old idea replacing a new idea get called progress instead of regression? It boggles the mind. Seeking you will find a way to leave the world behind. It's only through Jesus Christ that we have hope for life. I see that He is the one who is helping us every step of the way. Yahweh, you were always and forever my friend until the world ends. I want to be like that prophet getting sucked up into a whirlwind. I want a double portion of the anointing of prophets of the past without having to breathe on graves. You are the one who saves my soul. You are the one that I constantly crave. You are the one who helps me to be right. You are the one who makes sure I'm never left behind. You see the daily grind I'm facing. You see what I'm embracing is your cause. They say you got a voice like an angel, to some I sound like the voice of a devil. I attract and I repel. That's just how it is, yeah. When you ring bells, I will come. Whenever you call, I will fall down at your feet. I will be prostrate in the street. I see you save my soul from hell's heat. One dude said to me, it's easy to work yourself up into a frenzy, looking at somebody's Holy Spirit experience cynically, but he hadn't experienced it himself, obviously. If he had been flipped in the air like I was, then he would just rejoice when somebody else is expressing love for the Messiah. You see that passion flowing from somebody like fire coming out of their mouth. It boggles somebody's mind when they are not used to hardcore music. When they hear somebody screaming, they think they sound like a demon, but maybe they are being used by Jesus. Look at the amount of souls that gave their lives to Jesus when under oath had a concert in Brazil. Use my skills for the sake of your glory. Thank you, Lord, for the difference that you made in my life story. Help me not to be full of pride. I know I'm always walking by your side like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden in the cool of the evening. Recycling, cannibalizing old rhymes for the sake of a new environment. I'm happy and content knowing that you hear my lament like Jeremiah the weeping prophet. I don't care about making profits. I know that I'm demonetized. That's okay. I see the world through your eyes. Those AdSense guys don't make no sense to me, because religion is profitable in this day and age. See how many units Lecrae sold and how many units Hillsong sold, yet still they turn their backs on the potential because they see the controversy. This music might make people want to change the way they behave. Stop living like sin slaves. Make waves around the world. You are the one that I crave constantly. You are the one who sees what I don't see. You were overseas. You were here with me. You were everywhere at once. The all-present one, the all-knowing one, the all-powerful one, the mighty one that can never be destroyed. Dumpy conqueror. You are the one who helps to fill the void in my soul, who takes away my loneliness. I've got this solitude, I've got this peace that comes from knowing you. I've got your company everywhere I go. You accompany me, you go with me. You never leave me or forsake me. You are the one who made me. Your love will never fade from me. You never leave me or forsake me. I know that you are always with me everywhere I go. You give me life. You are the reason I'm alive and breathing. You will never leaving my side. I will be cleaving to you. You will be my God. Everything I need in this life you provide. Open the floodgates of heaven and pour out your blessings on me and everybody who knows me and everybody who doesn't know me. Let them be so amazed by your blessings that they can't help but say hallelujah, like those doctors in Cambodia who couldn't help but be astounded by the woman that came back to life. They took her fingerprints so they could check whether she was the same person that they saw a few weeks ago, who was sick as a dog and at death's door. She rose from the grave. It's amazing to see what God can do. It's amazing the miracles that He can enact in the present moment. I'm spitting facts. I know that some people may not believe, like the guy who was legally blind, then he got prayed for, then he was given sight, then he died whether he was as blind as he thought he was. It's a shame that that guy from the Korean mail failed to recognize miracles being manifested, even when his life was changed, even when it was made better and he didn't have to struggle to see anymore. You are the one who loves horse. You love women who wait until they get married before they have sex. You are the one who flexes your muscles. You are the one who sees when I'm vexed. You are the one who helps me to overcome the world. You love strippers even though you don't love what they do. You love people who work for the pornographic industry even though you don't love what they do, because you know that they are in traps. They are dazed and confused. I've got everything to gain and nothing to lose. I've got you. So glad that you are always on my mind. Yes you are. Yes you are. The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You are the one who is never bored. You are always excited, delighted in our praise. Ancient of Days, I want to spread your love all around the world. I'm so glad that you're living inside of me. You hung your body on a tree. You you chose willingly to proceed to your death, even though you knew you would bleed to death. You said, not my will but yours be done. You accepted your Father's will, even though you bled tears in the Garden of Gethsemane on the Mount of Olives, because you didn't want to go through with it, but you went through with it because you knew there was no other way apart from you dying on the cross for my salvation. Yahweh, you are the reason that I have hope for the future. Keep my mouth from being like a lavatory. I give you all the glory. I see that you are living inside of me. You are the one who never flees. Sometimes I'm like a dog with fleas. I see that my mind is diseased according to the world standard, but you are the one who heals it. You minister to me. You are the grandest of physicians, and I don't care if you heal my mind, cause I know where my spirit is headed. Even though I may have dreaded the future in the past, since I came to know you, I have no reason to fear. I'm not shaking in my boots anymore. My knees aren't knocking together anymore, because I've got you, Lord. I see that you've got me. You are the one who's holding on to me. I wouldn't boast about these skills that I possess. I wouldn't say I possess skills if I didn't possess skills. I only boast through you flowing through me. I know I'm nothing if I try to do it in my own strength. I know I'm nothing. I know I fall apart at the seams. I know I make mistakes when I step outside of your will. I know the blessing that comes from knowing you. I know what's possible when I choose to step in your will. I see that stepping outside of your will is the key to disaster. Stepping inside your will is the key to peace and freedom. Your love never ceases. You are the one who causes my blessings to increase. You are the one who is always there for me in every single passing moment. Thank you, Lord, for your atonement. Thank you, Lord, that I can live at one with you, Father, Spirit, and Son. You are the only one, there's no substitute. You are the only Lord, the only deity, the supreme being. Your all-seeing eyes are ranging throughout the earth, watching over those you love. When push comes to shove, I can't get enough of you. I just want the whole world to know about you. I want to show the evidence of an internal transformation seen externally. Save me from that infernal fire. Change my desires, death to my desire. I'm praising the Messiah. Make your desire my desire. The devil is a lie, constantly trying to tell me that I am the same way that I used to be, but I refuse to be the same way that I used to be, because I've got you. I won't let him get away with turning me back the way I was. Doing a 360, I've done a 180. This isn't gonna be a rotation backwards to the way I used to be. There's a revolution taking place in me. You are the solution to every problem that humanity has ever faced since the beginning of time, since the beginning of rhyme. Since the first expression of self, you have been there, helping us to avoid depression, helping us to avoid anxiety, helping us to avoid choking. Thanks to you, the fire that's smoking is not exhausting. The possibility of my existence being used for the sake of your glory, Lord God. I see that you are manifested in me. You are the one that has the rest of my heart. You are coming like a thief in the night. You are in charge of the birds, taking flight, going south for the winter, getting under some skin like a splinter in the hinterland. In the winter, summer, autumn, and the spring, all seasons of my soul, you bring me to a place where I'm seeking your face, walking in your grace. I see that your love can never be replaced. Now I see that it's only because of you that anything is ever possible. It's only because of you that we are ever alive at all. It's only because of you that we have life, that we have hope. You are the one who helps us to cope. You are the one who is always with us everywhere we go. You are the king of my flow. You are the one who consoles. You are the one who's in control of my destiny. You see what's happening to me. You see what's going on in this world. I see that it's only because of you that I've got hope for the future. You are my God. I'm walking by your side. I'm full of pride because I know you, because I've got you, because you're holding on to me everywhere I go. You see what I don't see. You are the key to wholesomeness. You are the key to wholeness. You are in control of my life. You are in control of my destiny. You console me. I consult you for guidance. Thank you, Lord, for your providence. Your way is the only way that makes sense. I love you. This love for you is so intense. I love that intimacy that I can experience knowing you. I wonder what that homie meant when he talked about intimacy. Does he know the intimacy that I experience on the daily? Does he find it expressed through the love that he has for his wife, through the love that he has for his kids. I can imagine my father seeing the world through his eyes, seeing you in a new way, seeing the relationship that you have with him. When he held me in his arms when I was a little baby, when you asked him if he would be willing to sacrifice me, and obviously he said no, like any good father would, but Abraham could go through with it, even though he didn't have the confidence that you were gonna provide a ram in the thicket. You don't always provide a ram in the thicket like that man who came back from the battle and he had to kill his daughter because he promised the Lord that he would kill the first person that came out of his house if he won the battle against the enemy. And he had to weep because he saw his daughter being slaughtered like a sheep, and it made him cry a river. You are the one who delivers me. You see my mourning, you turn it into dancing. Every morning I wake up because of you. If I don't wake up in the morning in physical form, I'm gonna wake up in heaven in spiritual form and get a brand new body. How could I ever be melancholy? They can kill my body but they can't kill my soul. You are the one who restores me and makes me whole. You are in control of my destiny. You control my life. I see you in my guiding light. You provide everything I need in this life. You will never leave me or forsake me. You are my maker. You are my healer and protector. I wanna be your reflector. You are deflecting the missiles of the enemy, causing them to ricochet and bounce off me. I see, you see what I don't see. You are the all-knowing one. You are incredible. You make my jaws drop in amazement at you. You are always moving in this world. We don't always see what you are doing. We don't always acknowledge it, and that's to our detriment. We can dwell in a pleasant home for all eternity. You own the cattle on 1,000 hills. Why does the grass sometimes seem greener from the other side? I would rather be single than be in a relationship and burn in hell. I would rather have my arms and legs cut off and have my head cut off than have my arms and legs and burn in hell. I see because of you I can dwell in peace. Your wonders never cease. You are the one who releases me from the cage of the enemy. You engage with me. You connect to me. You help me to choose love over bitterness. It bothers me when I see people succeed and I am left on the outside looking in, but I don't let it bother me. I take it on the chin. I know that I am a contradictory beast sometimes, but you help me escape the machine-like mentality. You help me to escape the clutches of bitterness. Stop it from overcoming me. I see, because of you I can overcome the world. I don't have to keep you secret. I don't have to keep you all to myself. Forgive me for those blasphemous thoughts that I entertained when my energy was drained, when I just wanted to get on with the job of swimming. You are the one who watches over me even when my eyes are dimming. You are the one who sees those tears streaming down my cheek. I'm grateful that you're watching over me 7 days a week. You got my homie out of prison. You showed him a brand new existence. Thanks to you I don't have to think like a cistern. See this world twist and turn. Some suffer from wrist burn. I listen and learn, look and observe. I see that it's a learning curve. You love me more than I could ever possibly deserve. Sometimes I get unnerved, but you help me deal with that nervousness. You replace it with your peace. You help me to know where I'm going when I die. El Shaddai, you are always watching over me. Your wonders never cease. You've got my eyes popping when I see the wonders of the heavens. I can't be sour like lemons. I see that you made melons. You made mountains. You give me joy like a fountain. When I was in school, they got me to say Mickey Mouse in a house on a mountain so they could make fun of my accent. They called me Wiseman the Piesman, which doesn't make any sense to me. I see you were watching over me in every century. You were watching over the Earth's population, even as it brings devastation to each other, even as we tear each other apart at the seams, even as we tear out each other's eyes, even as we cause blood to be shed, even as we burn each other in our... Even as we burn each other in our beds, even as we walk the road of the misled, You were there for us, you were risen from the dead. You were the one who saves us from the mark of the beast. I want to see you at the wedding feast. I see you were moving in me. You are the key to improvement in me. You are the reason I'm alive and breathing. You were never leaving my side. You comfort me when I'm grieving. I see that you were always residing in me. I don't have to drink the poison well that I was drinking my whole life. I don't have to entertain the darkness. I don't have to act like it's the light. You are the one who fights with me. I don't have to say that the truth is a lie just to be polite. I don't have to say the up is down just to be polite. I don't have to say that evil is good just to please the crowd. You are the reason that I laugh out loud, because I know where I'm headed when I die. You hear my spirits cry. I wish I could be like my homie said I was. Never talking about girls, cars, or money. That's issues that I face, honey. It's just something that I deal with. I want a few little bunnies of my own. One day it's gonna happen in God's perfect timing, possibly. And even if it doesn't occur, my spirit is stirred when I see the sick getting healed. Your mysteries getting revealed to those to whom it has previously been kept in the dark. I don't want anybody to be on the outside looking in of this Christian experience. Having Christ in us is so incredible. Knowing that He's got our souls, knowing that He's got over all. No, that is watching over us everywhere we go. Brings me so much serenity and tranquility, like the Bay of Tranquility on the moon. I hope to see you soon. The skies are cracking open and you're coming in the flash of brilliant light. You are the one who gave another chance to my life. It's not about playing my cards right, cause my future isn't in some tarot cards. It's in your hands, Lord. You are the one who understands, Lord. You know the struggles that I face. You know you help me to be trustworthy, not to be full of lust. Every rhyme I bust for the sake of the cross. Thank you, Lord, for all that you've done for us. Being without a woman that I love is like Gilmore Girls without a Lexus bleeder. You are the one who I am compelled to follow to the ends of the earth. I want to swallow all your words and spit them out. You help me take a different route. You know that I pout sometimes when I don't get my own way. You throw a temper tantrum. I don't want to be childish like that. I don't want to get up to those antics. You know I'm running around frantic like a chicken with his head cut off. You are the one who helps me deal with what I dread. You help me face the future with my eyes wide open, with my head held high, with my shoulders back. I know where I'm going. I know you've got my back. I don't have to worry about the future, cause I know that you are holding on to my future for me. You've got a place for me. I'm sitting in heavenly places with Christ Jesus. You got a mansion for me, and more than a mansion. I've got my eyes on just being in your presence. It's gonna be so amazing. Just being free from all this sickness, being free from all this worry, all this stress, all this sin that surrounds me. All this illegality, all this immorality. I don't have to worry about this cesspool anymore. I know I'm headed for a better place. No, you got me, Lord. I know that you are watching over me everywhere I go. You are the king of my flow. You are the one who consults. You are the one who consult. You silence all this revolt in me. Don't let me be insulting you with the way I live my life. Don't let me be spitting in the face of your grace. You replace the influence of the world. Keep it from consuming me. It's so hard not to be consumed when I see people being pulled in the wrong direction. It's like a magnet to me. It makes me wanna follow suit, but I don't wanna follow suit. There's a war that goes on in me. I hate what I wanna do sometimes, and sometimes I love it. Lord God, help me to overcome it. This world that is threatening to swallow me whole. You are the one who is helping me to follow after you. You are leading me and guiding me. Everything in this life you are providing for me. Lord God, I want my life to reflect your glory. You are the one I'm connecting to. I want to be always respecting you. I see you are the key to my breakthrough. I don't have to be sour like a grapefruit. I see that you are the one who has contributed to my betterment. All of my days you've been watching over me. Even when I called you stranger and enemy. Even when I didn't know you as a friend. Even when I didn't have that deep intimate connection with you. Even when I was only a Sunday Christian. Even when I only worshipped you on Sundays. Even when I wasn't faithful to you on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays. Every day you've been watching over my life. You've been guiding me in every word I say. I see that you are watching over me, Jehovah. You will always be the King of Kings. Kings and the Lord of Lords. You are the one who helps me to overcome the world. You are living in me. You are the one who is my God and light. You fight for me. You are boxing for me like Muhammad Ali. You are taking out the enemy like Cassius Clay. Yahweh, you can never be defeated. You are the undefeated champion of the world. Nobody can take you on. Nobody can give you a black eye. That can never kill you or destroy you. That can never defeat you in battle. They wouldn't even smash your big toe. Your big toe is bigger than this entire universe. I wish that I could know you more intimately than I do. I'm grateful for your word leading me. You guiding me every step of the way. I've got your daily bread. I've got your words flowing through my head. You are the way, the truth, and the life. Your word never returns to me void. Every word that proceeds out of your mouth never returns to you void. If I cast my bread on the waters, I will find it after many days. Yahweh, I will always give you praise. None of my efforts are ever wasted for the sake of your kingdom. I know that you can use me even beyond this life. Even if they only get to hear me when I die, I see you can hear my spirit cry. I've got a secret admirer and I wish that I could know them. And I want to show them love. I want to thank them for the goodness and mercy that they have shown to me. For the random act of kindness I didn't even know how to say thank you in an adequate way. It's only because of you, Yahweh, that I'm safe in the cradle to the grave. I see that you are watching over me. Many are called, but few were chosen. Our destination is for heaven. That's where we're headed. Why do we dread it? When God asks us to change our life, when He asks us to give up relationships, I know it can make us cry. When He asks us to say no to certain people in our life, but He is able to bring somebody else into our life that is better than the one that we had to leave behind. He never leaves us behind without a witness. He gave His Holy Spirit to us as a comforter. He is the one who is our cutlass. We swing that sword. It penetrates through bone and marrow. His eye is on the sparrow. He knows how many grains of sand there are on the shore. He knows how many hairs there are on my head. He helps me not to dread the future. He provides me with so many layers of epidermal tissue. He is the one who knows all my issues, and yet He still chooses to love me. Even though He may regret making the world when we are prone to sin, He is the one who helps us win. He chose to come in human form, so our deformed way of behaving wouldn't result in enslaving us for all eternity if we only chose to follow Him. He is the one who helps us to face whatever comes our way with a smile on our faces. I'm so grateful for His grace. It's all because of Him that I have a place in His kingdom. We are kings and priests according to the order of Melchizedek. Even when I'm a nervous wreck, He is there with me, giving me an inexhaustible supply of energy. He is my strength, He is my hope. His wonders never cease. Lord God, You're so amazing. You save my soul from the mark of the beast. You save me from the yeast of the Pharisees, getting consumed by the notion that I'm better than other people. That's not true. It's only true that I'm better off because I'm not headed for hell. I want to dwell with You for all eternity. It's not pious to say that I'm not a saint. I'm just a saved sinner, but my sin doesn't own me, so I don't call myself a sinner. I call myself a winner. You saved me from that dog's dinner, continually returning to my vomit. You made the comments. I have no comment when it comes to people trying to pull me into arguments that don't achieve anything like the will of God. Precisely what does it constitute? What is the sovereignty of God? All I know that He is in control of the universe, and He saved my soul from Satan's curse when He died on that cross. He helps me to focus on what truly matters. He shatters all illusions. He causes crowds to scatter when they were disillusioned because they had followed after Him. But 3 days later He rose from the grave, and they knew that they had put their faith in the one true King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and He was definitely worth dying for. He is the one that I'm relying on 24/7. Imagine seeing Him rise up into heaven. That would be such an incredible sight. Our jaws would be dropping. We wouldn't know how to speak. He is the one who comforts us 7 days a week. I always want to be a Jesus freak. I want to see a love that has no limit. I want it to flow out of me, even when I am pushed to breaking point. He is the one that's waking me up in this joint. I see that if I disappoint Him, I forfeit my chance of inheriting a place in his kingdom, so I don't ever want to mess with my relationship with him. I'm always choosing to put him first, and when I put him second, I get it right. I take my sins to him and he gives me peace, he gives me release from that cage, helps me to engage with a world that is but desperately in need of him 24/7. Peace out.